August is days away, and that means, and I can't believe I'm even saying this, it's almost time for back to school. On the Business Courier front page centerpiece, fruit of the boom. Greater Cincinnati colleges are polishing up campuses this fall by investing more than $700 million in construction projects. The building boom comes at a time when colleges and universities are facing a challenge that they've known was coming: declining enrollment. Since 2010, enrollment has decreased by more than 6% at American post-secondary schools. With the fall semester fast approaching, the Courier examined the construction projects at 7 of Greater Cincinnati's largest higher education institutions. The projects include a new business school at UC, new student housing at Miami, Welcome Center at Cincinnati State, mixed-use development at NKU, a recreation and health center at Xavier, health science center at Thomas More, and a recreation and fitness center at Mount St. Joe. 84% of that $700 million in construction costs are being generated by the 3 largest universities, UC, Miami, and NKU. UC student and Business Courier reporter intern Jacob Fisher wrote the story and joins Business Courier editor Rob Dahlmeyer in the studio with more. Rob and Jacob.
Thanks, Peg. Jacob, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So part of the story was you really were trying to total up to get to that, you got to that $700 million figure, which is a massive amount of money. Why now? You know, Peg mentioned that enrollment's not doing great, so why spend all this money?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of factors at play here, but definitely the biggest thing is enrollment. And actually, if you look back at the numbers, since 2010, Greater Cincinnati's colleges and the nation's colleges have lost more than 1 million kids. So really, these schools are struggling, and they're competing for a decreasing pool of students. So if you look at some of the bigger universities, say UC, Miami, and NKU, they're really coming out on top here, but some of the smaller liberal arts colleges, in fact, Courier reporter Andy Brownfield reported a few years back that a lot of these liberal arts schools are closing their doors because they simply don't have the students and they don't have the funding to maintain themselves and to keep these schools open. So for Greater Cincinnati's colleges like Thomas More and Mount St. Joe, they're placing a really big bet on enrollment right now just to make sure that they stay competitive and stay relevant.
So what are some of the, what are some of the biggest specific, Peg sort of ticked them off, but maybe you can just briefly go over them again. What are some of the big ticket items?
Well, definitely the largest investment comes out of UC. They're building a $120 million Lindner College of Business. It's going to replace their former business college, and it's essentially going to double the size of that school. So it's a 225,000 square foot facility. The largest one by space is actually coming to NKU, and they have announced a very tentative construction timeline on that. So it's a 400,000 square foot mixed-use facility. It's going to bring retail space, apartments, hotels to their main campus, to the gateway of their campus, and they're actually partnering with St. Elizabeth Healthcare on that.
So what's next? I mean, is this it when we're done with these projects? Is this kind of, are they all done? They're going to take a nap now? What's going to happen?
It's definitely not a one-off investment. And in fact, if you look at some of the future projects that are coming, if we jump back to UC just a little bit, a lot of this is speculative, but they're talking about tearing down Crossley Tower, which is a bit of a controversial building. It's definitely very brutalist architecture, and it's actually the second largest concrete pour in the world. But they are considering tearing that down in the future. Another thing that they're looking at, let's talk about Mount St. Joe. They're going through a Transformation 2025 plan, and the goal of that is to bring increase enrollment by 25% over the next 7 years. So.
Well, there's a lot going on. Thank you. And again, Jacob's an intern from UC. He's headed back to school in a couple of weeks. He's been a fantastic intern. We appreciated having you, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks so much. It's been a pleasure.
Back to you.